Salam, greetings everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Thoughts of Leaders. Today we have a very special guest with us, Tino Fragale. Tino began an advocacy nonprofit organization out of college, and he is a career change maker and organizer with a personal mission to make it easier for people to influence their politicians. Tino directs Everyday Canvassing, a local nonprofit which helps Montgomery County residents connect with local government and services to help fulfill their needs. He is also the treasurer at Young People for Progress, improving youth representation and political education. So first off, I just want to thank you by joining us here. It really means a lot.
Thank you, Samantha.
Okay, so I know I briefly mentioned your nonprofit organization, but could you provide us with a more in-depth background about what it is and what it does?
Let's do it. So Everyday Canvassing is a way for people who don't ordinarily connect with their representatives to do that more conveniently than ever before, right from their doorsteps or in public spaces wherever people are found. And it is also a way to connect people with their community in ways outside of their representatives, whether that is cultural or recreational activities like a local soccer club, or it is religious and service activities like folks who need rent relief, folks who need to connect with food services. Right now, we're focused on COVID things, for example, like mostly rent relief, because there's a wave of evictions coming or happening really right now. Food service and things like emergency health insurance and things like that.
So what was your inspiration behind Everyday Canvassing? What caused you to start it?
Yeah, so I was a professional organizer over the summer from my junior to senior year in college at University of Maryland. And I worked with a delegate who was trying to run for Senate. We lost, but she's awesome, Delegate Angela Angel. And I was inspired in two ways by her campaign. And the first was we were doing service while we were out there doing activities to boost her name and her credibility and her work as a delegate so she could be elected in the Senate. And what we were doing is we had a thing called Save Our Schools. We were telling people at the same time while we were out saying, Angela Angel is great, you should vote for her and she identifies with you and your values. We were also saying that there are these host of community forums that you should get involved in because your students are going to these public schools. And with your voices there, you can change these things. And that was one way it inspired me. The other way is campaigning, in my opinion, really sucks. And the reason it sucks so much is because, one, it's very hard for somebody like me who is either working professionally on a campaign or a volunteer to take useful information from these conversations and bring it back to a representative who can make it reality in the future. There's not a good way to communicate those emotions, the struggles of constituents, and bring them back if you're not that representative themselves. Often it's neglected entirely and we just exchange it for, our real goal is giving out the literature and convincing people that this is a good person to vote for, not long-term change through those conversations when they have so much value. But at least we provided a service. And I remember driving home one day and I was listening to NPR, and NPR was the midterm elections in 2018. And NPR was interviewing people door to door in DC, and they had knocked on somebody's door and they asked, are you going to vote in the 2018 midterm elections? And that person had opened the door and said, no, why would I vote in the 2018 midterm elections? They only come around every 4 years and ask for my vote. And for me, that was the light bulb moment that we needed representatives. We needed people who could communicate their perspectives. We needed more access to our politicians in a way that made it so that when politicians are actually in power, that they are connected more than ever with their constituents so that it's easier, it's convenient to represent them and do their best job and create policy that matters for them. But then, like the service, like I said earlier, that's where we got that from as well, that we could bring so many services to the door because these conversations are real and heartfelt and they're raw. And people have issues that we can solve more immediately than just legislation, who knows how far down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what challenges do you have to overcome to get where you are today?
Well, I still have a lot I'm overcoming. I'm sort of working on them. It's only been a year. It's been since May 2019. So actually more than a year, than like a year and 3 months almost. and funding is difficult. I think one of the challenges with everyday canvassing is that we are saying canvassing doesn't just have to be about campaigning or sales. We are saying we don't come with a goal initially, but we're here to listen to you, and whatever you tell us, we're going to try and bring services that matter to you. And we're just trying to bring your voice somewhere else, right? Make it easier for you to access politics. And people are unfamiliar with that. Funders are very unfamiliar with that as well. So when people hear canvassing, they think, oh, what politicians do you like? Who do you represent? Are you Democrat or Republican? And the case is we are neither, and we are working as a messenger for the people, or as a conduit to resources that can help them in their lives. Sort of like we can't call ourselves social workers because social workers have to be like legally trained, or there's like a legal status that protects them. But we are, door-to-door caseworkers, really. And that's something unfamiliar to a lot of the public. It's a new concept, and so it's hard to explain the first time for funders.
And have you learned any valuable lessons from founding this organization that you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. I think. Let me give me 5 seconds here.
Mm.
For me, I think one of the most valuable lessons isn't that, I'm learning specific things about each person's issue as I go out there. And there's so many different issues and so many different problems that people have. But it's like a deep emotional attachment to people's problems and people's struggles and people's lives. It's really in the friendships built from each random interaction that you have. Everyday canvassing is taking random interactions and making them systemic, right? It's building in serendipity, random good things, random, and by good things, I mean that relationship building into a system that happens regularly. So when we talk to people, we make sure to prioritize long conversations, prioritize listening. And so people really feel a kinship, not a kinship, I guess that's the weird word, but people really feel like they're building a relationship. I feel like I'm building a relationship to people when I go to their doors. And I think through that, the issues that I have no experience with personally become really dear to my heart, and I start to learn and care about things in a deep way that allows me to, feel like I have a larger community and family more than ever here in Montgomery County. And I think a lot of organizations, you miss that the more you separate yourself from that in-person interaction, from those being able to just take your time, and if they invite you in, go inside. We also go with everybody has a pair. So say if one person, you go into a house alone, a little dangerous, but if you go in with a partner, it's not so dangerous. So yeah, I think the lesson is talking with so many people and just leaving space and holding space for those conversations to go as long as they can really brings me, and probably others too, I would bet on that, a deep emotional attachment to the issues. And doing that consistently is important for accountability in government or whatever work you do.
And do you have any just general advice for young leaders looking to start organizations that benefit the public?
Wow. I think it's different for everybody, but I come from so this is an advice that can be broadly applied, because I don't think everybody needs to have tons of relationships to be accountable, to learn, and to make sure that they're doing their best work benefiting the public. But for me, and for people who do find it relatively easy to talk with new folks and strangers, if you have an idea and you want to make sure your idea is well bought into by the community, find the community members and go talk with those folks, even if they're strangers, and talk with as many people as possible. And by talking with them, I mean mostly listening and saying, like, this is one thing I'm thinking about. What do you think about it? And then, let them go for as long as possible.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining us. Your work is truly inspirational to all. It really did inspire me, and we do need more organizations like yours, especially in these trying times.
Thank you.
You're welcome.